Shirts, everything. Bryce is gonna throw out all his old Qualtrics swag.
Surveys for everyone.
All right, folks, thanks for coming. We just have about a minute before we're kicking it off, but welcome, welcome. We have 3 in a row capstone presentations. We'll be kicking it off with bank bonus. Any questions?
Do we want to dim the lights, or is that fine?
I think it's actually going to be better to be able to see you and the screen to leave them on, if that's okay. Y'all can start whenever you want, or wait for a minute if you want.
Cool. Well, we're ready to start, and just as with the last presentation, if you have any questions, you can feel free to get our attention, ask it at the time so we don't lose that. But we are the bank bonus team. I'm Jonathan, this is Matt and Bryce, and then this is our friend Phil. He's also been helping us with more of the financial side. He's really into this kind of the churning space that we're getting into with this, so he's been helping us out a lot as well. So the first question is, why are we building this? Because there are already websites that exist that do what we do, but they look like this. All right, this is bad. It looks like it's straight out of the 90s. You see it and you just don't know what you're gonna do. It doesn't have the functionality that we're used to, like filtering, being able to search. It's just not very user-friendly. It's a huge headache. So enter bank bonus and what we've been able to build, which we're gonna demo for you. So first I wanna go over what we've been able to accomplish with this site. So first and foremost, we have more than $50,000 worth of bonuses that are all searchable and filterable. You'll be able to log in, track the bonuses that you like. We have a blog that will tell you how to work with these bank bonuses, what are the first steps, what are commonly asked questions, our experience with them. We've made it mobile and SEO friendly, which was a bigger undertaking than we thought, but we'll get into that as well. And then we also have, it's currently deployed via AWS services out on the web. So we're excited to show you what we built.
All right, yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so did someone say buzzwords? Because that's what we're talking about. So this is the technology stack for our web application. So on the left here, this is kind of our data layer. So we're just using a Postgres database, which is an RDS. Then for our backend services, so it's a Django application, but we're using a library called Graphene, which allows you to use GraphQL. So it's been really nice because we were all familiar with Django models, so you can kind of build out your models. It'll do everything in the database for you, but then we can query our data with GraphQL, which is really nice. Our backend is deployed just on an EC2 server behind Nginx and GUnicorn. So that was pretty fun to set up.
What does GUnicorn do?
It's so one of them is more like serving the static assets, and the other one communicates with Django.
Okay.
And then our front end, we are using React with a framework called Next.js, and this framework allows for air quotes easy server-side rendering. We realized that SEO was going to be pretty important for our application, so we wanted to have server-side rendering as an option. So that's why we chose Next.js, and we're using Apollo client for our GraphQL functionality. And this is up on a separate EC2 instance behind the Docker. Here's a fun little gift about our buzzwords as well.
Okay, so one of our goals of this project is to actually monetize it. Building the project has been a lot of fun, but we want more than just to show for it. So we basically can do this through affiliate links. You've all probably clicked on one, even if you didn't know you did. This is like, check out this credit card and use my referral kind of thing. And sometimes they're obscured, sometimes people are more transparent about it. But this is the point that we hope to get to. So all of our links go to the bonus page with the bank, and we basically get a portion of the sign-up bonus. So a bunch of banks, as well as networks, affiliate networks, you can basically sign up and become a part of a network, and then for every referral you'll get a $50 bonus. Or some of the larger banks even give up to $100 for an individual user signing up. So the potential is pretty cool. Some of the competing websites, every single one of their links use these, and they can bring in a ton of passive income with it. We really just hope to get to the website like a really solid point, and then we can start applying to affiliate networks such as these, and kind of just get those links So some of the lessons learned, things take a lot longer than you think they will, and this was kind of frustrating for us for a while. But realizing, kind of managing expectations with us as well as with other people who have expectations, and then how to maximize individual and group productivity. Especially because like the slide with all the new technologies, we're all learning a lot of new things. Matt had a lot of experience coming in, which helped a ton. But really getting into a groove of, okay, this person can focus on this person can do this, and kind of maximizing individual productivity has been awesome. So also the slides that show all the technologies, I had basically zero experience with all of them, which was fun. But like I said, we kind of specialize in running to a good groove. And then project management and task prioritization. This project could be as big or as little as we wanted it to be. And there were tons of features that were either, we kind of tried to prioritize between nice to haves and this is critical, and just kind of knock things out that way.
So who's ready to go find some bank bonuses?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so first, let's just take a look at the old way to find a bank bonus. So here we are at doctorofcredit.com. This is kind of like the leader in the space right now. So it's kind of hard to know what we're looking at. This is essentially a link or a list of just different links. You can see these have like states. So these ones only apply in Ohio or Indiana. So if I wanted to find one that applies for me living in Utah, maybe I can try to find like UT, but it's not really working. So if only there was a website that would help me solve that problem. Oh wait, here it is. So we weren't able to get bankbonus.com because it costs a lot of money. So we have everybankbonus.com. That's kind of our goal, is to be the one spot where we can compile every bank bonus out there. So you can see the very first thing we can kind of invite the user to do is to pick a state, and that'll really help narrow down the list of bonuses. But just scrolling down on our landing page, we really wanted to just educate the user, like, what is this site for? How does it actually work? People are definitely going to have questions, so we have some frequently asked questions. One that we hear a lot is about credit scores, but most bank accounts, if you apply for them, it's not going to impact your credit score at all. And if it did, we would definitely let you know on the site. We wanted to highlight some key bonuses here. This would be a great place for us to put like really good affiliate links, so we can kind of try to grab more traffic that way. And then we also have some nice blog posts that are really kind of for first-time users, like how can I get started in this space. What we really want to show though is kind of the bread and butter of the site, which is the bonuses. So you can see here on our bonuses page, we currently have 273 active bonuses worth over $50,000. So if you were able to apply for all these and get approved, that's a lot of side money, right? That's great. But we definitely want to filter by state, since most of us here live in Utah. So we can go ahead and filter, and we see that, okay, there's 40 bonuses here that apply to people, to residents of Utah. This first one is worth $750. That's a lot of money. But when we look at some of the details, you actually have to have $100,000 in savings. I don't know about you, I don't have that kind of money. So maybe we can find a filter for that. So I can go ahead and filter, if a bonus has a savings requirement, I only want to see the ones that are $10,000 or less. That's a little bit more in my price range. So you can see we've filtered here. There's this nice $350 bonus, and it says that if you can save $10,000 for 90 days, you get $350, which really that's not a lot of work. Just transfer some money and leave it sitting there, and you get that $350. So we can go ahead and look at some of the extra details here. So there's no direct deposit required. It's actually available for every state. There are monthly fees, but we have detailed here how you can avoid those monthly fees, so you don't lose any money that way. And then we can see when the bonus expires. So if I'm interested in this bonus, I can go ahead and go right to the site, and this is where I would apply for that bank account and hopefully receive that bonus. One thing we did want to show as well is that this is all mobile friendly. So this took a lot of extra work, but we were able to make this work on a phone. We've actually found that most of our users are going to come on a desktop, just because it's easier to kind of manage finances when you can sit down at a desk but it's definitely available on phone as well. So we have our little action button here, and you can handle your filters in this nice drawer, and you can see the details here in an easy to digest way, hopefully. So we also have our blog. So this is where you can go to learn more about different things that we're trying to educate our users about. This is all stored as Markdown, and then we parse that on the front end. So kind of just your typical blog.
I was going to say another comment on this too. Blogging is a huge part of this industry. People, have you heard of like Doctor of Credit or The Points Guy, or like NerdWallet or WordWallet? All of them have blogs, and people make huge financial decisions based on this random guy who owns a Facebook page. And so we feel like not only do we have to have our own blog so that people can come and learn about our tool and what we think, and just kind of our thoughts on the industry, but also if we could potentially make connections with other blogs that give us a shout out, that could be a huge way to drive traffic to our website. Blogging, I think, is the key to really getting into this and getting a reputation.
So we also have our FAQs, nothing too crazy here. So one thing that we really want to focus on with our web application is the user account functionality. So you can see right here, this is our like live website, which we've been using for user testing. And right now all the user account functionality is disabled because we really want to just focus on the bonus filtering first and foremost. So we have a little bit of the user account functionality that's not pushed to production. So we'll kind of get back into that in the slides here. But are there any questions or comments just so far before we continue?
Okay, so next steps. Like I said before, this project we're all really passionate about, so we don't want it to just be a capstone. We're all hoping to work on it post this project and graduation. And so these in order are kind of our next steps. We really want to finalize our bonus tracking. So Matt said a big thing we've noticed is everyone that uses this little bank account sign up bonuses, they essentially track via Google Sheets or Excel sheets, and they just keep track of like specific dates or specific notes on how to avoid monthly fees or details about the account. We want to give all of that functionality inside of our website. We think this will keep people coming back to us and just build a really good reputation around why would we even go to every bank bonus. A sharing, commenting, rating functionality. So this kind of goes back to the idea that people really like the community that exists around this. So if a bonus is really consistently getting good feedback, we know that it's a more trustworthy bonus, so you're just more likely to open it. We also know that we don't want to trick anyone. Transparency is huge for us. And like you saw on the bonuses page, we have every single detail we could possibly find. And we want that to be the case in our commenting as well. So if one of our users has a really hard time with the bonus, we don't want that to be hidden. We want to know that so that we can share that with our other users. And then eventually a rating system would be really cool because right now you can track, or you can filter based on your criteria, so direct deposit amount, or like state, like you said. But if we can get to a rating system as well, people can just sort by rating. So that's our next step. Crowdsourcing, right now we have someone manually entering all of the data for us into our database. So we really want to get to a point where we can have our users giving us bonuses as well. And we'd still have to verify a lot of the data because if they give us something that's incorrect and then we push it out, that obviously looks really bad on us. Notification system. So along with the Excel sheets or Google Sheets, people basically just set up notifications in their phones that say, okay, my account was approved on January 1st, I can close it on July 1st. But we want that to exist on our website, so you just hit track this bonus and it essentially keeps track of that whole timeline. User testing is huge for us. We have very specific design preferences, and we've designed it how we like it. But if we get consistent feedback that people don't like the positioning of something or the length of something, then we really want to know. And then CI/CD, so that it just expedites the development process.
Okay, so we wanted to give you a quick look into the account functionality. This is in the development code, kind of up and running on the development side, but wasn't ready for us to show you on the production yet. So we just wanted to show you what we built. So this is definitely a version 1. It's not as pretty as it's going to look when we launch it. But basically, this is going to be able to come here and see everything that's related to their account. So if they favorited a bonus, You can go through and you can see every bonus that you favorited. Maybe you don't have the funds to open the bonus now, but you want to open in the future, so you favorite it so you can keep track of that. You have another tab for currently open, so that'll be like, hey, I've redeemed this bonus and I want to see how long I have until I can close it so that I can avoid any fees and avoid the numerous bank accounts. I don't want to track too many. It'll also be like an already redeemed feature. We don't have a screenshot of that one, but to be able to see lots of bonuses you can reopen again in a year. So that'll be a timer since you've closed it. I've already redeemed this. Oh, it's been a year. Let's go see if I can reopen that again. We want to have a notification system based around when we can open and close bank accounts and whatnot. But then also just like a running tally of how many bonuses you've been able to find from our site and the money that you've maybe felt would be a pretty cool feature to highlight. But we're really excited about this specific feature and functionality of the site. I feel like it'll really differentiate us in the market. And like Bryce was saying, keep people coming back. Rather than finding a bonus, leaving, and never coming back. If we can make our site a one-stop shop for all of the functionality and services they can need around bank bonuses, that'd be ideal. That's exactly what we're shooting for. So,
can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So one of our things too is we've really targeted one specific market, which is the churning community. And they have very particular preferences, which we've tried to hit, but we're really trying to design our website so that people just looking for a bank account can use it, which is why we're not requiring people to log in to view the bonuses. If you're just curious and you just Google bank bonuses and our website happens to come up, we want you to find the right bonus. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to open 10 in the next few months. So it's been really interesting trying to design and cater all of our functionality to churners who are going to open a bank account every 2 weeks for the next few months, and someone who doesn't really know much about it and is either potentially interested in joining that community or just wants a bonus because they're looking for a new bank account. That's it.
Okay, what questions? Okay, I have some questions. So how did you break down the work? What did you each focus on for the project?
So we have Matt Dankers took the heavy lifting back end stuff, like the really nitty gritty, and then I was like the step up back end stuff that wasn't quite as nitty gritty, kind of communicated more with the front end, which is a lot like what Bryce did. But we kind of all were involved in everything, and I'd say that's probably like our main roles.
Yeah. And it's been really good because we've been specializing, so I probably shouldn't admit this, but I have no idea how our back end works. And I basically just design something with fake data and I throw it over the fence and then they make it work. And it's been awesome because it's been really productive. They don't want to spend a ton of time making sure the button is the right size. I kind of like design. I like spending tons of time on just really nitpicky things. So kind of focusing on that and then letting them handle the connection, like Jonathan said, in the back end as we're doing that.
Yeah, to go along with that, I hate like trying to line stuff up on the page just right or whatever, so I'm always just like, hey Bryce, this doesn't look right, and then I just fix it. So it's been nice to kind of specialize.
Did you spend any time looking at legal considerations of this? Are there any?
That's a good question. We've had people ask that. So like, oh, you're using like a bank's image logo on your website. Is that going to cause problems? And our current understanding is that it shouldn't be an issue because it's like a win-win. So banks want new customers because they're able to make money off the money that you deposit in the account, and maybe you open an account and you really like the features, and then one day you choose them for a loan or whatever it might be. So, this is supposed to be us partnering with banks. Have we had discussions with banks yet? Definitely not. So that's an interesting question, and we could definitely do more homework in that area. But short answer, hopefully there are no issues there.
So before you go live, I'd maybe consider registering a company to get that kind of legal protection.
We do have an LLC.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
It's a good first thing. Did you have specific legal concerns?
I think it's worth maybe finding a mentor in the banking world, and I know that we have several alumni who are up big in the banking world, and just they're probably willing to give you advice for free and say, hey, here's our idea. What roadblocks do you see? Because there might be roadblocks with companies coming and saying our logo's on there and these are just temp bank accounts, or there might be some regulations, and unintended side effects of opening and closing accounts rapidly too. So I don't know either.
Yeah.
That's good.
But finding a good mentor here would go a long ways.
For sure. Yeah.
Have you done any analytics on your current site? Do you know if you're getting any users stumbling on your site, or?
We have Google Analytics. We're live on it as of like the middle of last week, and we've been in a frenzy to get everything else fixed up. So we haven't had much analytics yet.
Okay.
It's there. It's poised for us to do that. We just haven't.
Have you alluded to future steps of doing some user testing? Have you done any user testing yet?
A little bit. So we have a Facebook page with, I think, like 75 members, and we basically did a soft launch and said, hey, go check out our website, let us know.
Cool.
And it's really cool because along with the community that they're very trusting, they're also super willing to help. So we had one person send back like a 10-page document with screenshots and notes about every little thing he did or didn't like. So we're really hoping to get into that community again for user testing. And I know in the past we've sent out this just this blast of like, hey, we're thinking about doing this idea, who would be willing to help? And we got 20 responses, something like that. Yeah. So it'd be interesting too to do more in-person user testing, but also leveraging those communities.
Yeah, just give you $10,000 and you do it all, and you got 400.
We've thought
Yes,
about
there's
that.
a 5% fee for every transaction.
There you go.
Yeah, good.
I think that's really, really cool. Where are you guys getting the data from? Because you mentioned something about like someone manually entering it. Is it just someone like looking like at all these banks and like looking at it, or?
Yeah. Phil, go ahead, Phil. Our honorary guest.
So this is like something I had to figure out like right when I had the idea. So I was just like copy and pasting the whole table from a certain blog that keeps track of all these bonuses into a spreadsheet and then kind of like cleaning it all up. I graduated with a math degree, so I really like cleaning up data. It sounds kind of really boring, but so I clean up the data and then I go through each one individually. And then we just train this girl. We actually funded the whole site with our own bank bonuses. So we just opened up like $3,000 worth of bank bonuses and then hired this girl to like input everything into the database through that spreadsheet. But now I set up a web scraper to go through and automatically send us updates on bonuses and just blogs that change. So it's not like up to date every single day.
So like other sites that already have like crowdsourcing, so they'll say, hey, if you find a new bank bonus that we haven't heard of and send it in, we'll give you some reward. So we're kind of leveraging that in the meantime while we're building out our own crowdsourcing functionality. So hopefully in the future people will see it straight away.
Yeah, I think that may be a bigger legal concern than some of these other ones. It's kind of the source and attribution of the deals and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all the sources are posted. They're all posted on the bank's website.
Yeah.
It's just this blog that's like,
It's
hey,
aggregated
go to the bank's
Sure.
website.
Sure.
And so we've just gone to that blog and said, hey, we're going to make this a lot nicer to look through
Yeah.
on our site.
Sure.
It's all public information.
Yeah, sure. So right now, the management of new bonuses is all kind of fat fingering on the back end.
Yeah,
Is that right?
and it's a challenging space to automate because every bank website, even if one bank has 3 different accounts, those 3 pages might be completely different. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to automate.
Yeah, I don't think the automation of sucking the details in is right. But what about kind of like an admin
Yeah,
portal?
so we
on
have
the bank end?
our admin portal where
Oh, okay.
you have all
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
fields there and it will screen it if you type something wrong. So
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
we leverage the Django admin. So we have
Yeah.
like all the
like some
validation
custom-
and whatnot there as well.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Django admin with a little bit of custom functionality.
Cool. Any other questions? All right, good job. I know several people who would love using a site like this. Okay, next up we have IS 560, Janessa and Matt.
Woo!
Let's see.
There's Matt.
Okay. Oh, there she is. Sweet. Y'all are welcome to set up when you're ready. Let's wait a couple minutes, but if you want to get set up, that would be great.
Yeah. just put them on. First time I've had one of these things.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'll give you back your pen. I found another one.
Thanks. Awesome. Yep. Just grab those. Caroline, you're welcome to fill it out too. Yeah, sure. That would be great.
It works. Call the manufacturer pin.
Yeah, is it hot in here? It feels hot to me.
Quite hot.
Let's open some doors. Trying to. Thank you, sir.
What's up? What? I am burning it. She took it off. But it's a really comfortable jacket.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, get my computer out here.
I think this is too bad.
No.
Yeah, you? I think literally it's the people going to yeah, but when you find out
I just turned it down.
So,
You know what?
the
I
side
just
company
turned it
has an
down.
office in Pleasant.
Yeah.
I guess over the weekend, I was in there over the weekend. Sprinkler pipe
Oh no.
flooded the heck out of everything.
How much damage?
They said we're out of it for 2 weeks. I'll show you a picture.
What about your equipment?
So we don't host any servers.
Yeah.
So no electronics.
And mostly
furniture.
laptops?
Yeah, the laptops are all up on desks.
Yeah.
But it's like we're out of an office for a few weeks.
Now,
So
did you
some
move
disruption.
from your Provo office up to?
Yeah, so we outgrew that off. So this is where it's going out of one of our rooms and flooding over. I guess it flooded out a third of the office. It kept going on.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
Hey.
it's like, where do they work? It's like work from home.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull that pipe next time. Right. T-minus 2 minutes. Things good?
Things are good.
Yeah, I like
For sure, that's like I think we should like, or not just reference
Thanks for stopping by that meeting last week.
Any questions?
We've heard back from all of them that were impressed with our programs. So
You don't need
I
any
think a good
questions.
place to start.
Just want to make sure that, you know,
At
we're all
least
on
this
the same
last
page.
fall, I had a number of students
So
who
20,
really
25
wanted security,
minutes.
but were struggling to find jobs. I'm going to make an offer to make introductions to 2 of them. And we can get them in there.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
We had 2 a minute ago. We have 1 right now. It's on the way.
Is that you or is that?
It could be me. Now we're up to 2 though. So.
Yeah.
All right,
Change
folks.
names.
It's that time about. So IS 560, Janessa and Matt have been working on some labs and other things. So we'll turn the time over to both of you.
Yep, so our project is the IS 560. We kind of did a redesign of the course. So kind of the background of our project here, really concisely. The IS 414 class recently was redesigned to include more of an emphasis on security practices. And this is for the IS juniors. And going over security basics and kind of a lot of the content that we used to cover in IS 560. So working with Dr. Jenkins, our project was to go through and design more in-depth material, as half the content was moved to 414, and focus a little more on security management and some of the best practices in the industry. This will be applied in fall 2019, so start next year.
Okay, so we did quite a few revisions. So a lot of the labs were already there, they're already existing, and so we just went through and updated them, made sure they were good to go, and tested them, make sure there were no technical difficulties. And then we made some new labs and a final project. And we did a couple penetration testing VMs. We updated the war room scenario and made a final project that has an even split of penetration testing and security tests. So just watch this video.
This here's a demo. We decided to do a demo instead of a live walkthrough of the lab. This is our lab 3B. It's a password cracking lab. So the lab 3A goes through and kind of talks about how you password hashes, algorithms, things like that. This one we're giving them a VM. It's this little Sebastian Memorial VM right here. And so what we're going to do is we'll just come in here to the settings, and we're acting in this lab as if they physically got this VM. And so what they're going to do is they're going to add an optical disk and add a Kali ISO on top of this physical machine that they have access to. And we're going to try to steal some passwords from some people. So there's our mounted Kali ISO Linux, and then we'll just go ahead here and do a normal startup. And so yeah, the password 3A lab, they go through and they have to use a dictionary attacks and different types of algorithms and understand how passwords are saved on files. And so we're using that knowledge to build here and say, okay, actually go and get those passwords, use what you've learned, and apply it. And one of the cool things that we did in preparing for this lab is I talked to a couple people that were in the industry and some of the tools that they're using, and Kali is definitely a huge player in this part of stuff. So on here, I just opened up the terminal. The first thing we're going to want to do is open up the file explorer, and we're going to want to mount that Windows partition. So we'll come down here to other locations. And we'll see here this 53 gigabyte volume is the Windows machine that we have that VM. We know it is because it's on that SDA2 partition over there. So if I double click on that, we have it now mounted. Let's see that mounted. So what we need to do then is navigate to that drive. So that mount is under the media directory, and then that long string right there, if you can see it, is the actual hard drive itself. So we're going to come on here and go to Windows and System 32. Because what we're looking for is we want to go and find the SAM file, which is an encrypted where the hashes are stored, and also the system file, which I'm going to do navigate here and I'll do a direct. I'll show you those files in there. So the encrypted SAM file, how it works is it has those. So you can't go onto a Windows machine and just grab those files. We want to get this SAM file and the system file. And so Windows has that built-in security feature on Windows 10 that they don't want you to be able to just go into the logs and just pull whatever you want out of there, or registry and pull those out of there. So you have to get the SAM file and the system file, map those together, and then you can have those hashes. So we've copied both of those to our desktop here. And then what we'll do is we're going to open up a tool, a password attack tool called OffCrack. I don't know if anyone in here has used that we just need to navigate to where those files are, which is on our desktop. And as soon as we open these, we'll see all the hashes. And we actually went through, so the usernames are over here. You can see we have this symbol, which, again, there's a username of Leslie right there, and the hash is on the other side. But we went through and removed all the usernames except for 2 accounts, the administrator account and Leslie's account. The administrator's account is disabled. This is just to make it a little more difficult for them, make them have to connect the dots and do some figuring out of what's where. But yeah, so we can now save this as hashes.txt now. Those hashes, and then we'll use the John the Ripper tool to then extract the passwords from those encrypted text files. So just navigating to where those files are at, that hash.txt. How John the Ripper works, for any of you that haven't used it before, what it does is it'll go through and it uses the rock text file, which is a generated file of the most common passwords. And so it's got thousands and thousands of passwords in there. And you can see we've already cracked 4 of them right there. Passwords once in the legal account, looks like a space bar right there. So we already know the administrator account, sadly it's disabled, but that password on that one is password. And really the purpose of this lab is to help people see how easy it is to be able to steal passwords off the machine. If you have physical access to a machine, it's really easy for someone to come in and get your information off there. Even if it's just your hash, that's still valuable information that you don't want them to be able to get. So there are 12 hashes on this box. We'll give this another couple seconds and we'll get the last one that we can through John. And we'll be able to, we'll get 7 of those 12. You can see right here, yeah, there's the 7. We don't have usernames for any of these accounts over here. So by running the John hashes and then show, we'll see exactly what we have. Here's the user ID for each of those accounts, and we don't know the username. Here's the password for them. So what they need to then do is use this information to then try and figure out which account that's for. A lot of these, if you know Parks and Technology, a little bit of research, you'll be able to know which one could correlate with which user. And by navigating on Kali, you could go into that drive and see the user files that are in there, or just pulling up the VM itself. And then using those different lessons that they learned in the Password Lab 3A, they want to try to either create a dictionary or do whatever else they need to be able to get the rest of those accounts. So here's the accounts that they can see, the active accounts right there. Kind of let them have at it, create a dictionary, do whatever they need to get the rest of those, get access to those.
Alright, so next we did the war room scenario. I kind of spearheaded this because I created it as a TA when I was doing a 560 class last semester. And essentially what this is recreating a scenario where a breach happens, and when that happens, the top executives in a company will come together and sit in a room much like this one and just crack down on their security, on any contingency plans, and just take care of this PR nightmare. So we give them a breach report, a business information sheet, and an instruction sheet. And each of these just gives them all the details, all the information they'll need in order to create the report. And this week-long version I created, they will have a week to work together and to act on a contingency plan, and they'll have to consider things like legal aspects, technical, and human resources of the breach. So here's just a high-level attack summary. I'm not going to read it out loud, but essentially a hacker came in and hacked an Adobe Acrobat Reader, an older version on the Windows XP server. They changed the admin credentials, locked you out, deleted your data, and they're demanding a ransom, and it's very targeted because they have a relative who got injured as a result of one of our lawnmowers not functioning. So yeah, that's just, they have a whole 2 more pages of information like that. And within their groups, they each get to pick a role that they get to work on for the duration of this breach. The CEO, the CISO, the legal, and the customer relations representative. And they each have different tasks to accomplish. The CEO will oversee the entire project, they'll sign off on everything, help where they need to. The CISO probably has the toughest role because they have to consider all the technical and security aspects of the breach, and it's just a lot to handle. And the legal representative will have to research new information. So this isn't something that's taught in the class currently. So I provide them a slide deck of Intro to Cybersecurity Law, and they have to go through that and consider federal, state, and common laws that they will have to adhere to because of the breach. And then the customer relations representative will maintain customer loyalty, kind of smooth things over, do customer notification about the breach, and just make sure you retain your customer base. And so with all this information, they will have to create a report that details the problem, presents a solution with next steps, and they'll have to cover the incident response, legal aspects, customer notification, and future preventative and detective measures. So what this lab will do is it really teaches them high-level security management at the C-suite level and responding to a data breach.
So yeah, then our final project, and the last thing we wanted to demonstrate here in our presentation, was probably at least for me, the most enjoyable part of this project. So we broke it into two parts. We have our penetration testing network, we have 5 VMs that we created, and then some security tasks. With our penetration testing network, we have a Windows Server 2019, and also a Fedora server, Fedora Linux server. These two VMs don't have necessarily an exploitable vulnerability in them, but they do have credentials to access those machines are hidden inside of these VMs down here. So we're going to give the students these VMs, and then they're going to do a scan and then try to get as much information as they can about this. So they'll use Nmap or Nessus or any of those other tools that they've learned throughout the course of the semester, and then try to exploit each of these VMs down here. So this one is the Metasploitable 3 VM. Kind of customize that one a little bit to our environment. And then we also have a Ubuntu server that is that has several vulnerabilities on it. And again, hidden on some of these, I don't want to give away too many details, but
that's right, because they'll watch this video next year.
Yeah, there you go. Hidden inside of these VMs, there is information that can help them get access to the more classified VMs on here. And then also this Dirty Cow VM, which is a Dirty Cow is an exploit. It's a privilege escalation exploit that allows them to take regular user credentials and escalate those privileges to root, so they can gain access to that. And then with all of that, they need to compile all the information they have and write up a penetration testing report, either a written report like a PDF or a PowerPoint presentation.
And the second half of the final project will be 3 security tasks. Again, that will teach them this high-level security management and really help them understand how attackers can get into their organizations without using all this crazy tech stuff. So the first one is lockpicking. We go over that in the 560 class already, but it's something that's super fun, really easy. The second task is spear phishing. So what spear phishing is you go online, you do reconnaissance on usually a top-level executive within an organization, and you craft an email specifically for them, and then you send it to them hoping to get them to click on the malicious link and enter their information. And then the third task is vishing, which is calling someone and tricking them into giving you information, either by giving them a fake number or acting like you're someone that you're not. And so by doing these practice exercises, keep in mind they're not going to do them on anyone for real, because that would be wrong. But it's just to teach them how easy it is for people to social engineer you and to get you to give away your information.
So kind of our lessons learned throughout this project. First off, budgeting of resources, whether that's compute resources, whether that's money or whatever. Particularly in this case, it was time, and that all in a scope change kind of changes your perspective on the resources you have and how you can allocate those resources. That was a good experience to learn and develop more skills in. And then also being able to develop content that's valuable directly applies to what's being used in industry. If we're trying to teach something that's actually not in use in industry at all, it doesn't make any sense that we would try to teach students something that they're never going to use. And then lastly, it's impossible to try to do everything and teach everything. So really focus on what's most important and what's valuable.
And then for me, definitely communication and collaboration throughout the IS Junior Core and the MISM. I really learned the importance of working in teams, and we had the privilege of working with Dr. Jenkins, and so it was really awesome to sit down and talk with him every week and realign ourselves and understand what kinds of things he was looking for the class and the things that we wanted to implement in the project. So that was important for our semester. The second thing, your scope may change depending on the needs of the stakeholders. When we first went to this project, we thought that we would just be focusing on the penetration testing network. Essentially, we implemented it in the final project when it was on a much smaller scale than I think we were thinking. But Dr. Jenkins, again, was our main stakeholder, and he was asking us to revise the labs, and we thought that was really important to make the class even better. And then thirdly, creating content that will add to the learning process is harder than it sounds. And I'm a TA and I love my students, and I really want them to learn and take away important principles that they can use in industry or in their internships. And so, yeah, I was really focused on making sure the content we were creating was valuable and that it was good quality. Okay. Any questions?
I'll start out.
Yeah.
That's a great job. One of the pressures that one thing that industry professionals are asking us to do is prepare people for certification in this master's class. Do you have any recommendations of which certifications would be most valuable for students coming out of the master's program?
Yeah, so we actually looked into that a little bit. Found that a lot of the certifications are kind of tough for students to get because you have to either have 5 to 7 years of experience, or you got to pay a couple $1,000s to get them and take some courses, and it depends on exactly what they want to do. But our recommendation, and we also know that the IT department in some of their security classes are using some of those, like the Certified Ethical Hacker one for their pen testing class, or the CISSP for their information assurance class. But we strongly recommend probably the CISSP as well, just like their information security class, because that one I believe was like $800 to $900, and to take that one, you don't need any experience prior to that in order to take that exam. And there's a lot of really good resources out there, and that is like any security job that's hiring knows what that certification is, and that's going to help you at that job. So,
thanks.
So are all of the final exam, is it individual, is it group?
Groups.
Okay, in groups, and then is it the same for every single group?
Yes, so
like the same VMs?
Yeah, our plan is to give, like each group a flash drive or like a downloadable box folder where they can access the same VMs. They'll all be clean, so they'll be starting from scratch. And yeah, they'll do it in groups, because we figured with Metasploit 3 and the other two are pretty difficult to crack, and so with everyone working on it, and then maybe you can have 2 people doing the pen testing and 2 people working on the security management side, and then maybe switch off. So we figured it was a big enough project that it would be beneficial to work in groups.
Okay.
So you talked about, again, going in and locality and whatever else is being used in the outside industry and making it all relevant so that when the students get something, they've got a affordable skill, they've got something they can use. And so do you have recommendations on who should come into the classroom and do any kind of demonstrations or
like guest speakers,
lectures?
Well, our mentor did suggest one guy that he knew at his work, and I guess in general, I would say people who have industry experience. Maybe we might get a few pen testers, and it's also about security. The class is also about security management, and so we probably want to bring in people who do the risk analysis, who do all that reporting. I don't know if you've noticed that we just make them write all these reports, but it's so important because at both of my internships, I worked in security somewhat, and everyone was like, well, where's the report? Where's the report? Did you write it up? Like, give me the details. And so what's really important is having that person to take they can understand the technical aspects and then write a report that they can give to the VPs. And so I think it would be really important to find those people who are in that middle ground to come in and talk about what they do every day.
Yeah, I think most students in the core, or maybe before the core, are thinking like Hollywood-esque movies when they think of security jobs.
It's not glamorous at all.
And then you get to the, okay, I can use these tools, but darn it, there's not many of these exploits that are still open
Right.
that the tools are attacking, and then maybe you get a little bit more experience. You realize, hey, wait, half the job or more of a security professional is writing reports,
I think that's one thing.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Don't let that
Just
deter
kidding.
you
Yeah.
from security.
Yeah, I was just saying that's one thing that I took the class with Dr. Jenkins, and I think he did a really good job of kind of showing the scope of jobs. I mean, you've got anywhere from forensics to cyber law to penetration testing to, it's such a broad field and it's such an emerging field that I think just giving them a good balance of understanding the foundation that they can build off of. To answer your question, I think that's kind of the main thing, is just showing them exactly who, like different jobs that they can get and how much this industry is exploited. So.
So, yeah, I guess from my perspective, it's just who's been hired out of information systems into what roles, those sorts of things, and having that exposure handed back in the classroom.
Yeah, you have me back in the classroom. I'm in a security role. So.
Nice. Other questions or feedback? Ideas for enhancing 560?
Did you talk to any professionals when trying to decide like what was most important? So coming up with your final project, how did you decide what technologies or what platforms or I guess how did you prioritize?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I took the time to talk with a couple friends that I had in industry, and we did talk with our mentor and got a couple of points of contact as well. But I just kind of asked, hey, what are some tools that you use? What did you wish you had learned in school? And they kind of talked about, hey, make sure they know burp speed, make sure that, and just different tools that are, hey, I use this every day. Make sure that they kind of are learning these kind of things. And then as far as like our final project, like Dr. Missouri was saying, most of the exploits that are out there, either like a 0-day vulnerability, they're not going to release details on that until after it's already been patched. So we're not going to have like a 0-day type exploit for them, but teaching these foundation principles kind of is the basis to understanding how any exploit would work, or how to think like a hacker so that you can defend against that or prepare mitigation.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a few more minutes before caravan at 3. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
So excited.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Want a flash drive with like a box?
IT doesn't need to take that class at all. Yeah, there's more of our students take IT classes than IT students take our class. It's actually pretty rare we'll get one of them over in our IS security. Sometimes more the forensics when we're offering that.
I thought that was part of the agreement.
Oh, it's back and forth?
Was that they were required to take at least 1 or 2 of our courses.
Yeah, I don't think that's happened.
And we're supposed to take 1 or 2 of theirs.
That happens a little bit more, but the proportion of security students is going down, I think.
One problem that we have is
Thank you.
Our lab has limited spots, and we're already filling that with our own core.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they can make it a requirement over there, and we can accommodate for it.
Yeah.
Unless we open another section.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember that.
But we're happy to go take some of their classes. They have spots.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of security people in a security major right now, so yeah, they're building it up.
Maybe you should start that who loves road trips and then have everyone raise their hand and be like, this is
Because anytime we go on a
It's like what I decided.
we walk in the hole.
I would rather know what the business is.
Got a nice leather.
We already have one. Yeah, we
do a little
always
back
have
splash.
we have a whole dive.
You know, like when I went on
Everything up front,
cross country trip,
everyone's yelling at
because,
me.
the boys are having.
Yes, it's in my house. Cue up the song.
Be able to afford things.
And then you can be like,
Because that's
hey,
not a bad thing.
I'm gonna go for this
It's
song.
Sponsoring your
a lot worse.
Oh yeah, you can fund the trip with the bank loan.
Okay, folks, we're ready to begin. Brrr. This next group is Caravan, the ultimate road tripping app. Is that the tagline? Nice. Sweet. The HDMI cable. All right, floor is yours.
All right. Who here likes to take road trips? Road trips. Pretty much everybody. So we figured when we were deciding what to do for our capstone project, we wanted to do something that was fun, something that was relevant to us, to something that we like to do, and also something that would give us development experience, and also something to learn a new technology. And so we decided to go with Caravan. I'm Andrew Day, this is Jennifer. Spencer Price.
Awesome. So we're just kind of this big overview of our app, and just talking with Matt before, he was saying that going on trips to the dive team, that a lot of times someone's up at the front of the bus, choosing the songs, and everyone's yelling for different songs. You know, it can be kind of stressful choosing songs. One person's in control. So the idea behind Caravan app is that you're able to create caravans, join other people's caravans, have a collaborative music queue, so people can. One person's playing the music through their phone, and then other people on their phones can go and submit songs and upload the songs, download the songs, and if they download so much, they'll disappear. If they upload, they'll climb up higher in the queue. And also, we have a way to bring in different activities, different rest stops along your way of your trip, and you can select those as suggested locations, and people can vote on that. And we also have a nice little messaging app that we thought we'd bring in as well, just because if you're traveling on a big group, a lot of times you don't have an easy way to communicate with each other unless you have contact information.
So we used mainly for the development two different things here. We used React Native and Expo. So we decided to go with React Native because it was a cross-platform way for us to develop our application. So it worked for both Android and iOS. But that was a big thing for all of us because none of us knew React Native before starting this project. So we had to put a lot of time into learning the different features and functionalities of React Native to make this work. Another thing that was really cool with React Native is it has hot reloading, so it made developing really easy and really nice. And we could see the changes that we were making right then and there as we were developing. And then we also used Expo, which was an SDK that helped kind of smooth the development so that we didn't have to make changes in like the iOS side of things versus the Android side of things. Because typically you have to do that when you're developing in React Native. So Expo was really good. One thing that was a little bit of a hindrance to us was because it was like smoothing over the whole umbrella of iOS and Android development. Some of the libraries for React Native we weren't able to implement. So we had to kind of search around and kind of build our own features.
So when deciding what we wanted to do for storing all the data, we figured an easy option was Firebase. It's a real-time database, it's cloud storage, and a great feature is that it's NoSQL, so we can just store everything as JSON objects. It makes getting the data easy and also storing it really easy. And a big plus is that it's free for now. So no cost to us, and that's what we have used for the back end of storing all the data.
Sweet. So I mentioned this before as the overview for the app, but the main feature for caravans is you're able to pull user caravan information from the database. So you're able to create caravans. So I can create a caravan with a name, the day, the start location, end location, and then you're able to send out a code to different users, and those other users are able to join caravans. Join your caravan, you can join other caravans as well.
And then, so like we showed a little bit from that screenshot, we wanted a big feature of this app to be the maps portion. So the map will show a route. When you create your caravan, you say this is where we're starting, this is where we're ending. And then using React Native Maps, which is a library just online, it shows the route you take, just brings up directions. And so it'll show your route. And then with this map feature, obviously a big part of road trips is you make stops along the way, right? Especially if it's a long one. Like I'm driving to Arizona this weekend. It's like a 10-hour drive. So gonna make stops along the way. So we wanted you to be able to look up places that you might want to stop and then just add it to a list of suggested activities that the group can vote on. And you can upvote and downvote. Like if somebody really doesn't like that place that you suggested, if it's downvoted enough, it'll get taken out. And so with the map, that's what we wanted the functionality to be. But when coding things, we ran into some issues. And specifically with React Native Maps, there was an issue with when you click on a marker of that location that you search for, you can't really do anything with that little pop-up that comes up. And we'll show that later on in our demonstration. And then also with the Google Places Search API, there's, when you have just the free version of your Access API key, you get kind of limited things. So your search radius is limited. You can only get one image for each location that you look up. And then also you can't really get like other things like its hours and stuff like that. So those were some little hiccups, but main functionality still there.
Alright, the next feature is the music feature. So this one is, we use the Spotify API to access all of our songs. So users who are going to be actually playing the songs on their phone need to log in and authenticate to Spotify, and so then we can stream the songs to their phone. Other users in the caravan, they can submit songs. They can go search for songs and submit them to the queue, and it will load up a queue. Then you can go and view the queue, and you can vote up or down on the song. And depending on the vote, whether there's more votes for or against it, will reorder the songs on the queue. So you can kind of push up more popular songs and push down songs, you know, like.
Yeah, someone's playing like Pump Up the Jam like 5 times in a row. You can get rid of those songs.
So kind of foolproof for people who think they're funny. And then some issues that I ran into with the music implementation was that Expo doesn't support most of the Spotify libraries. So like Spotify has a player that you can bring in and just use in apps, but because we were using Expo, that player didn't work. So I had to kind of create my own player. And then playing full songs, like streaming full songs through your own mobile app using the Spotify API doesn't work yet, but it's in beta, so they're bringing that in. So aside from that, the functionality would be just using Spotify to play your songs through.
So help me understand that. So locally stored songs on your device aren't playable through Spotify? Is that it? Or?
So streaming songs from the Spotify API call to your app, like your own.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Usually apps play like a full song through the Spotify.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. And then we also have the messaging feature. And so we thought it'd be kind of fun for users to be able to create their own usernames and then just kind of have a nice little chat. For example, if you're on the dive team on the bus, you could just send each other messages very easily once you're joining the group.
Yeah.
When people want to be able to.
And one thing about the messaging feature that's great is one of the use cases is for big groups. So if you're taking a big group of like a youth activity, everyone can join this caravan and you can just message each other through the app. Instead of having to try to get everyone's phone numbers, to try to make a big group chat,
So this one nice thing about this app is it works between multiple cars, right? So it's kind of a shared road trip experience. So you could be playing the same songs in the same car, or voting on the same activities and all talking to each other very easily.
Okay, so we're gonna jump into a little demo here. Okay, so
Awesome. So this is our landing caravan page. This is where you manage your caravan. If you join, you create your caravan. So right now we're going to create a caravan. We're going to enter a name, let's say MISM Presentation. Starting date, let's just do today. And then let's go from Provo to Las Vegas. Awesome. So create a caravan. And you'll see, as you see, it shows up right there. You can click on it and you can set it as your current caravan. We're not going to do that, but you're also able to manage your members and then copy to clipboard that access code. And so we're also going to join the caravan. I sent Jen a code over earlier today. Just going to paste it in. Join it. Right there. So she just joined the MISM Capstone party group right there. And so that's kind of just an overview of the caravan management page. And from there, I believe we're going to go to activities.
Yeah. So right now it's showing our location as San Francisco, just because we're using the simulator.
Sure.
But so with this page, it'll zoom to show you route at first, but right now we have it zoomed into our location. And then you can just search for things just by keyword phrase. And so we can look up like hotels, for example. And then it'll bring up some pins, and then you can click on a pin. And then if you click on that call out, it'll take you to another page. That'll show the details of it and everything. And you can add that activity to the list of suggested activities. And then you can see which suggestions are added to that. And so you can upvote and downvote them, and it'll update in real time. And yeah, so fun stuff, just a nice way to collaborate on the places where you want to go.
oh, I think I had already uploaded that one. That's right.
So we're going to go to the music section.
Okay, so the music page shows what's currently playing and then what's coming on next in the queue. You can log into Spotify here. I'm already logged in, and then come and add a new song. Click back, and it shows up in the queue. And then it also plays, but it doesn't play on the simulator.
It works on your phones, but it doesn't work on that.
So yeah. Oh yeah, groovy. We're ready to road trip. All right.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So that's the music page, and then now we're going to move over to the messaging part. And so here we have our messages, and I'm just going to get on the app on my phone, and I'm already part of this road trip, so I'm just going to say, hello everyone, send it, and then it'll update real time, which is kind of nice. So this is a nice, easy way for people to just talk to each other, and we thought it'd be fun for people to add usernames and everything. And in the future, another feature we'd implement is little user icons. You can just add a fun little picture and everything. So. And then also we have a homepage app. This is still a work in progress. We had a lot planned out for this app to do, and not enough time to do it. So here's kind of just an overview, kind of dashboard page for the caravan. So you have your trip as you can see it. We're going to pull in a list of suggested activities with the names and the votes, and so people can quickly see the rankings and everything, and then the current song playing as well. Awesome. So with this app, we have a lot of lessons we learned. It was a really big, really good learning experience. One thing I learned with React Native, so we didn't really know React Native or React at all. Before this, I built a simple React website before, I guess, hopping on this project. And one really big thing I learned is you really want to know the technology of the library, just what you're working with before you start working on a big project like this. Because we created the project, and then I realized about 3 weeks in that I created everything wrong and not structured everything quite right how I needed to. So we wiped everything and remade it. And so it was a really good learning experience to really learn this stuff before start building up the framework, the structure for everything.
And then with Firebase, this was something that I had actually learned a little bit taking the database class from Gov. But I still wasn't super familiar with it, but it was a really helpful feature for us, and it made all of the features of our app work really easily. And so just learning the ins and outs of Firebase was difficult at first because all of us weren't super familiar with it, similar to with React Native. But as soon as we were able to figure everything out, it made everything much smoother. And then also with Git, with Jen and Spencer, they were already a little bit more familiar than I was with Git and GitHub. So it's definitely a huge learning experience for me because I was really bad at it. And I had to have Spencer help me many times.
I'm not actually that good at Git. I have to learn a lot.
But lessons learned just from everything that we learned with using Git, it's made me feel more prepared for my future jobs because I'm sure I'll be using that a ton. And so that was a great lesson learned for all of us.
A really big lesson learned as well as, so we're each working on our own different sections. Jen was working on the music side, Andrew on the activity side, and that's the overall structure, the caravans, and the messages. And so we all kind of worked on our own individual projects, and towards the end we started to cross over one with another, and I realized that we really need to set some ground rules with how we wanted to do things. At first, how we wanted to program stuff. For example, some of us were using style components with stuff we were building. Other people were using React style sheets. And so some of our different pages, some of our different components end up very differently from each other. And so I learned that when you start building out a big project like this, you want to set really strict ground rules for how you want to do things so everything ends up universal.
Project management skills was another huge one for us. I think that we learned at the beginning of the semester. We were, like Spencer had mentioned, we all had our own little areas that we were working on for this application. And so when we first started, we were just doing our own thing. And we would meet up like the Saturday that the iteration progress reports were due, and we would just kind of like throw it out, you know? And we're like, did you get your stuff done? Okay, cool. But we weren't really in sync with what we were doing. So then we realized the error of our ways, and we started having weekly meetings on Wednesday so that we could kind of sync up with what everyone had accomplished. We could make goals for what we were going to accomplish in the next week, and then we could resolve any issues that we had with the app currently. So once we started doing that, we noticed we noticed how much we were able to progress in our development. So it would have been nice if we would have caught on to that a little bit sooner. And then also with scope creep, we met with our advisor at the beginning of the semester, and he told us that what we had set out to do was huge, and we were like, yeah, you're right, it's huge. So we like brought it back a little bit, but then we still kept it where we originally had it. So I think that we could have.
Happens too often, actually.
I think we could have been a little bit more just realistic with ourselves and what we could get done, and made some of the features that we had really crisp and clean and just functioning perfectly. Whereas we have like little bits and pieces of our project that are a little like untied ends.
Yep. And then lastly, with API functionality, for me it was a huge learning experience. I, have made some websites and stuff with the IS program, but I've never really done a lot with API things. I didn't really understand how that worked. And so getting to understand how the Spotify API and the Google Maps API really worked with our app and how to get data from them was a huge learning experience, and will definitely help me, and I hope people will do as well.
And that's it for us.
All right, thanks. Okay, questions? What do you have?
Yep.
For your messaging functionality, were you just using Firebase as the real-time display?
Yeah. So it's just kind of a JSON object, right? You're just posting those messages to that caravan.
Okay. And I was wondering how are you guys hosting this, and is it available?
still a work in progress, but we hope to continue working on it and eventually one day publish it on the App Store.
Yeah, we do look forward to that. So I honestly I love this and I would use it. So
Great.
cool.
Good to hear.
Yeah, good to hear.
I would also use it. Do you have plans to like? I know you want to launch it eventually. Do you have plans beyond that, or are you trying to turn it into like a gift?
We haven't thought much about it, but I don't know.
I think we thought a little bit about it last semester, where we thought we could potentially put ads in. For example, when you're searching for a list of activities, we could put in an ad for a place, or with music and stuff, or have like a premium account in a lot of places like that. We pay a little money and unlock more features. We haven't made a plan per se, but we consider it.
So how far are you out from an MVP or from significant user testing?
I think we're pretty close.
We're fairly close. I think with this iteration, we're going to wrap up all the major features we need, and then we're just going to work on polishing it and then hopefully get it to some users to test.
So why didn't you enter the mobile app competition?
We thought about it, and then it just slipped by us, I guess.
So lesson for all of those that are learning, even though you don't have everything complete, I sat and watched all the entries for that. You definitely would have come in somewhere in the middle with and gotten some money
That's
for
what
it
Dr.
too.
Little was too, so.
Yeah.
Missed out.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the learning process for these different technologies. What resources did you go to? How did you, did you go and like run through some tutorials first and then, try it out? Did you like, I ran into a problem, go try to figure out how to do it with formal tutorials or informal message boards? Tell me a little bit about your experience.
So I started off doing a lot of tutorials and just doing like video tutorials and then finding online tutorials just to like walk through. I think the bulk of my learning really just came from just trial and error with developing. And then I'm in Dr. Little's web development class, and we like that really helped me just kind of hone into my developing skills. And I've been working on some React projects at work, so that transferred over.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for me it was a lot of Stack Overflow.
I started out with a lot of tutorials. For example, I did the React navigation as a library for like routing to different components, different pages. And so I followed tutorials, set up kind of the groundwork for that, and then after that was a lot of Stack Overflow, just trying to figure out what I needed.
So how, as professors, do we better help students recognize the error of their ways with scoping things? So your lesson learned is such a valuable one, yet, I feel like I constantly, let's pull it in a little, let's focus on, polishing up smaller feature sets, but in the end, most students, listen and they're nice, but they won't really do.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, I think for me at least, it was just anticipation. Like when we had our idea of what we wanted our app to do, we were like, "That's so cool!" And like we wanted to do all these things.
Yeah.
And so like to think of just letting that go, a little part.
Yeah, giving up the dream.
Yeah, I don't want to give that up. So you kind of just like keep fighting for it. But I don't know, that's how it's been.
And to add to that, I think understanding what level of quality is needed for production.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times, even with our school projects, like it's great, but is it are they really ready for production? And so like that's kind of our level of quality. And so understanding what the level of production quality is will help us be like, okay, like maybe we can't do it all.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Other questions?
Have any of you done native mobile development?
We took iOS last semester.
Yeah.
How would you compare React Native and React Native? Like if you were gonna start a new project, would you choose React Native?
I really like React Native, but that's just because I'm familiar with web development, right? So it's very similar with web development, right? You use CSS, you use JavaScript. And so it's something I was comfortable with where I had to learn React, right? Something different, but it's still in my comfort zone.
And I think it's like a rising, more popular language to use for app development. And so I think it'd be good to do that.
Sorry, just practical questions. So you said you got hung up on some of the limited functionality related to pins and stuff like that, and I wasn't really clear on, okay, well, did you work around it? Like, what did you do about that?
So I just kind of worked with the limited functionality. Like for example, the search radius. So if you like had zoomed out to like the whole USA and tried to search for something, like it wouldn't then also with like the little pins, when you clicked on it, there was that little pop-up that showed the name of it, if you remember. What we wanted to do originally was put like a button and all the information inside of that, but because just how the library works, like I just used this React Native Maps library, it didn't support that, and so we just had to work around and take you to a different page when you clicked on it and stuff. So.
And then one other question about the music thing. How does that work exactly? So if there's 20 people that are in sports on a bus all going to play something, or I don't know, a youth trip or whatever it is, if 20 people are on there and there's the music and it's playing a song, but it's associated with one person's account, like how is that supposed to work? Are you supposed to be playing it on the stereo at the front of the bus, or is everybody listening to the same song from one person's account?
So it's playing on one phone. The idea is for it to be playing on one phone, or if there's multiple cars, you can have 2 designated phones to play it if you're logged into Spotify.
Okay.
And then it will just play through the queue.
Did you test kind of the synchronization of playing and pausing and anything like that?
It actually works perfect, yeah.
Okay. But there's likely some major issues with that, but at the end of the day, it's, if they're not starting and stopping at the same time, if there's, kind of a 10-second lag, not a big deal. You're like, oh yeah, we listen to the same music on the way down.
Yeah.
We need to consider, sorry, this is one of this today, adding functionality around cars within caravans, so that a car can be distinct from another car, maybe take a different pit stop, maybe have some competitions between cars.
Yeah, we haven't considered that, but that's really good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
That's right. This is a race. Okay, anything else? All right, good job. Okay, we have a break for 1 hour and we'll be back after that. Thank you.